Joining us now on the Megacast is the CEO of JARC. Shaindle Braunstein is with us once again on the program today. Shaindle, thanks for being with us.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for inviting me to be here again.
Yeah, glad to have you on with us once again. For those that aren't familiar with JARC and the work that this organization does, give us a little bit of an overview about the services that are provided and the resources provided through your organization.
Absolutely. So JARC is a 501c3 based in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, and we're a provider of residential services to adults with cognitive impairments and developmental disabilities. In essence, we want to make sure that every person, regardless of their abilities, gets to live a full and productive life.
You find more information on their website, jarc.org, jarc.org for more information. And these individuals that you're serving, they need a variety of different supports to be able to achieve these hallmarks of regular everyday life for people like you and I that maybe are not in these sorts of situations. So give us a little bit more detail and elaborate on the extent of the services that you're providing to these individuals and just how much of a difference that they make in these people's lives.
Right. So again, I would say we start first with the person, and there's no one size fits all for the variety of services that we provide. Obviously, we want to make sure that someone has the level of supports that they need, but not a level of support that becomes invasive in regards to maintaining their independence. So there are folks who we serve. Again, some might need just a little bit of assistance. Perhaps it's grocery shopping, it's budgeting, it's planning healthy meals, and that might be a couple of hours a day, and then they're really able to maintain their self sufficiency with that. For others that we serve, I would say on the other end of the spectrum, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for people who, without our assistance, are not able to feed themselves, are not able to bathe themselves. But really, for every individual that we serve, there must be, and there always is, the component of person centeredness, meaning I, as an individual, as a human being with rights and desires and needs, can establish how I want to live, where I want to live, who I want to live with, and what I want to be involved in my community. If that means that I'd like to take a class, we're going to make that happen. If that means that I'd like to attend a concert, we're going to make that happen. If that means that I simply would like to go to the movies and out to dinner, we're going to make that happen. And all of that is in tandem and in addition to the community that we have built amongst the people that JARC serves and the greater community, where we have a variety of events and concerts and things happening all the time so that we can consistently maintain the element of choice, but so that people can also have lots of good choices to make.
And who are these services provided to then, Shaindle? Who qualifies to be able to inquire about and receive some of these assistances from JARC?
Right. So we work with community mental health. We are actually one of the larger community mental health providers in Oakland County. And what that means is that, again, through the county, through the state of Michigan, and with federal funding, persons who qualify for services qualify through medical necessity. And that means that because of my disability, it has been identified that I can use some additional supports to make sure I am truly included in community and safe, of course, and have assistance with activities of daily living. So any person who qualifies for those services, and that's something that can be explored again through community mental health, would have the option to choose JARC as their provider. And then through part of the planning process, it would be determined, can this person perhaps live in their own apartment? Might they need to live in a supervised setting, but a supervised setting that allows them perhaps to be on their own for several hours a day? Or does this person really need to be in a setting where there's staff available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
We're joined on the Megacast today by Shaindle Braunstein, the CEO of JARC. You can find more information on this nonprofit by visiting their website at jarc.org, jarc.org, JARC.org for more information, including on their services and beyond, as they continue to do this great work in the Oakland County area and for those here in Lower Michigan. And Shaindle, how are these programs then funded? Of course, you're a nonprofit, so a lot of that's going to be donations, but you also have these partnerships in the community too with these organizations. But I would imagine this is quite the undertaking for these individuals coming into your organization and receiving these critical services that aren't easy to get in contact with.
That's huge. And again, as a not for profit, right, we are heavily reliant on philanthropy. That said, we are fortunate because we are a community mental health provider. And here in Oakland County, and I would say in the state of Michigan as a whole, there is recognition that these services are critical. And not even speaking to life enhancement, but to safety. So we're fortunate that roughly 80% of our budget comes from the state of Michigan through Medicaid dollars that flow through the federal government programs. That said, those dollars pay for basic needs, right? Shelter and safety. And when we talk about a life, our tagline actually is, who wants to live an 80% life? I wouldn't want to. Why should someone else? So the philanthropy dollars, the other 20%, provides all of the extras. And by extras, that means every single one of our homes has its own van, which has adequate spots and accessibility for every person. In some cases, that may mean a lift van with multiple wheelchair spots. Every home has access to all of our events, which have ranged from a custom evening and dinner with the DSO to picnics to concerts to monthly bingo, baking classes, cooking classes, art classes. All of those extras are paid entirely through philanthropy. So the fundraising piece is really critical because it allows us to create quality of life.
Joined by Shaindle Braunstein on today's edition of the Megacast, the CEO of JARC. You can find more information on their website, jarc.org, JARC.org, to learn more about this nonprofit organization based out of Bloomfield Hills. And Shaindle, you and JARC were honored at the end of 2022 receiving Crain's Detroit Business Notable Women in Nonprofits. That prestigious honor went to you. And then the organization also received additional awards too for their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. So let's start off, by just going over some of those DEI initiatives that have been undertaken by your organization that ultimately put JARC in a position to be recognized for its efforts in our community.
Right. So actually, we're really excited about that. And we're really excited to be recognized. But most importantly, I'm so excited that the work has borne the fruits that allow for that recognition. So, this is a classic conundrum, especially for organizations that have been around a long time. And JARC has been around for 53 years. We'll be celebrating our 54th anniversary in 2023. You can fall into patterns of, well, we've always done it this way, so we should continue to do it this way. And one of the most important things in considering new possibilities is to provide the opportunity for new ideas and new thought processes. We also looked at our workplace and we wanted to be representative of the people that we serve. And we serve people of all ages, we serve people of all races, we serve people of all ethnicities, we serve people of all sexual orientations, and therefore our workforce needs to be representative of that diversity. So our focus wasn't, again, on saying, well, this is our diversity candidate, but again, recognizing that diversity in all of those categories, in addition to diversity of age and the diversity of thought process, was critical to our success. It tends to be, especially in director level and above positions for larger not for profits, that we want someone who has 20 years, right? 25 years, 30 years of experience with a not for profit in that specific discipline. We thought about it differently. And we said, what if somebody has the skills and the acumen and the drive to do this position, but they're coming at it from a different place? And that means they'll bring new ideas and new perspective. And my direct reports are all under 40, and most of them are under 35. I think we actually recently celebrated a couple of 30th birthdays. again, for some of that team. And again, I think they bring fresh perspective. They bring new ideas, and they're not coming into anything from a set concrete thought pattern, which has allowed all of us to be better.
And these are awards and recognitions that aren't necessarily what's being sought after by a nonprofit organization or by a CEO like yourself. So, being that you are the leader of this organization and that so many people have been involved in these efforts and making them happen and making these this new way of operating JARC be the way of the future. Speak to that and how it feels for you and others in the organization to receive this recognition from Crain's Business of Detroit for the efforts that have been made by your organization, especially in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Right. So for myself personally, it's incredibly gratifying to know that I'm part of a team that is allowing every single person to have a voice. I've been fortunate in my life to have wonderful mentors. I've been especially fortunate to be mentored by women in leadership positions. And incidentally, my first job was at Crain's Detroit Business. So this is very full circle for me. And I had a mentor years ago who told me, and she was 100% right. I've tried to live to this, that when you give somebody else a chance to be front and center, the spotlight doesn't move away from you. It expands, right? And that level of light expands to cover everybody in the room. And then every time we champion someone, every time we give somebody an opportunity, we're not only giving them an opportunity, we're increasing our own opportunity again by bringing different perspective to the table. So it's just incredibly gratifying to know not only do we have this recognition, but when I think of myself and the opportunities that were provided to me, and it can be challenging, I think that we all know this, to be a woman seeking a leadership position sometimes. And I certainly, I think we all have our war stories to tell. But at the end of the day, I've been given a chance, many chances, to find my seat at the table. And I've been able to achieve so much because of the opportunities that others gave me. And I want to feel like I've given them opportunity as well by bringing my perspective, by bringing my ideas, and helping again to craft change that's meaningful and wonderful. So to know that that's happening for this team and to know that that's going to pay it forward because every single person that we've now given a chance to sit at this table and share their ideas is going to bring something special, not just to JARC, but to the community and to other people that they interact with. I would also say equity does not mean that, right, I give you something. People often confuse equity and say, well, great, so that means you're going to give something that rightfully or deservedly belongs to someone else. And you're going to say, well, this person deserves equity. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Equity means equal opportunity. If nobody ever has a chance, I'll use a sports analogy, to stand there, if somebody throws the ball and see if they can hit a home run, how do we know if they can do it or not? So we have to provide every single person whatever they need to have that opportunity. What they do with it from there is up to them. But you'd be amazed at what happens when we provide that chance.
Yeah, another analogy that I saw once, I don't recall what the outlet was or who posted it, but I remember seeing this, and it was a great description of the meaning of equity. It was two people that are trying to climb the same platform. One was very tall, one was rather short, and they both had the same size ladder. Well, in this case, the person that's taller is going to be able to get up that ladder maybe a little, doesn't really quite need that much of the ladder to then grab onto the top of the platform and pull themselves the rest of the way up. The other person would need that in that scenario to make it the same distance. So if you give them the same size of a ladder to climb that platform, realistically speaking, it's going to be an advantage to the taller person. So what should happen is the taller person gets a little bit shorter of the ladder because they don't need as much space and they can still get up there just fine. Give a taller ladder to maybe the person that's a little shorter in stature, and both have that equal opportunity to advance themselves in that particular area and get to the top of that platform. I think that really does a great job of explaining the difference between equality and equity, and those come into play so much in our society. We've certainly had so many really tough and important conversations in that regard over the past few years, and appreciate all the work that you're doing in your organization to make that a reality with JARC.
It's a great analogy and very true.
Appreciate having you on today, Shaindle. Before we let you go, I want to give you a chance. Anything else that you would like to say, or any other topics related to JARC that we haven't discussed that our audience should know?
So I would end by saying that regardless if you need services from JARC, there is a seat for everyone at our table. Inclusion is our work. Therefore, it's what we live, and inclusion means there's a seat for everybody at our table. So if you'd like to get involved, whether it's just attending our events as a community member, which we love for people to do, volunteering, doing advocacy work, we have so many spaces, for that. And again, tremendous opportunity. We'd love to have you with us. And then, of course, I would be remiss as the CEO of a not for profit not to say that every gift given to JARC is really going, again, more than 95% of that is going directly to programs. So again, it's significant. I know for donors to know that when they're giving to an organization, that it's not, going to the administrative, going to the overhead. And for JARC, again, our administrative cost is less than 5%. And that really means that your dollars are going to make a difference in somebody's life in a significant way.
Shaindle, appreciate you joining us, telling us more about all that's going on with JARC. And of course, congratulations on both yours and the organization's recent recognitions from Crain's.
Great. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me again. I love being here.